If you don't already know who I am, and YouTube's brought you here randomly, you might as well save your time. This channel's aimed basically at friends and family to keep them up to date with what I'm going on with here in sunny Indonesia. And on with the show. Well, now that I've replaced those 3 disk drives in the secondary NAS, I'm going to harvest the magnets from these 2 bad disk drives. I've got 2 I've labelled bad and 1 suspect. The suspect one I'll leave alone. I might test that in an external drive rig at some stage. But these 2, nah, bad. So, what we need to do is get out the old Torx screwdrivers. Here I have a set. These are high quality ones, but they did cost me a lot at the time. These cost me about $50. One reason for dismantling disk drives could be to render them completely unusable for data recovery by an inimical party, but that's not an issue in this case. But if you really want to render your disks safe, there's a lot that you need to do, because it was many years ago when I was doing started doing a postgraduate diploma in digital communications. One of the lecturers was telling us about a commercial service where if you had accidentally erased your data, this commercial service could recover it for you. If you had overwritten it 9 times, they could recover it for you, or do a damn fine job of it. They would actually do a Fourier analysis of the signal coming off the read head, and from that they could determine what the previous value of a given bit was. Another way of doing it would be to use a scanning magnetic domain microscope. So you didn't even have to have a flat disk. You could use a scanning microscope which could read the magnetic domains across the surface of the disk, and then map that into memory, and then use not the structure, but the layout within the memory, and say, okay, well this is going to comprise a cylinder, so we read the data off like this. So it's quite conceivable that your data can be recovered from disks that you even choose to hit with an axe and throw away. What you really got to do is dismantle them, then put them in a furnace and melt them down so you get past, what's it called again, the Reynolds number of the magnetism, whatever it is. And when I was learning about this, it was actually many years ago, as I said. It was actually more than 40 years ago the guy was talking about being able to do this. So I kind of wonder what it's like now. Same guy was talking about experiments that were going on direct mind to computer interfaces by reading off brainwaves. You could actually train a computer to understand the output of an electroencephalogram, which is just your electrodes on your head, to read the electrical waves to try and make some sort of sense out of what was being thought. And the simplest demonstration of this was a guy sitting there with his electroencephalogram on, and having a maze projected on a screen in front of him and a dot of light in the maze, and the dot of light would track out of the maze and his eyes would follow it, or he would follow it with his eyes, and the computer would say, aha, so that's what his brainwaves look like when the dot is moving in that direction. And then what it would do is he'd put up the maze, put the dot there, and he would move his eyes in the direction he wanted the dot to move. And this was the computer directly reading his brainwaves, this is the one, to control the actions of the computer. So I've been saying since then that what I really want is the fibre optic input behind my ear, which directly interfaces into my brain, so I don't have to use the keyboard so much. Getting the output's a bit more problematic because these screens, the screens are all very well, but you've got to carry them around all the time. I'd really like high definition headset. And again, about 20 years ago I looked at those, and no, you couldn't really get those for reasonable dollars. There were stereoscopic ones for people doing surgery using enhanced reality, where they would have things like x-rays or CAT scans projected into a sort of heads-up display, so the surgeon was looking at the reality, but is also looking at an overlay of the structure that had been recorded using instrumentation, which is pretty cool. A lot of hassle with these things, finding all of the screws. Okay, so having got them all loose, extract them. Not quite sure what the metal recycle is like around here, but I always like to separate out all the bits so that the metal recyclers have a chance at getting the right bits in the right buckets. So there's some substantial bits of metal in here, steel and aluminium, alloys of different types. So this can be a little bit time consuming. Yeah, look at how far the technology came during my career. Like, $1 per megabyte for memory was, well, that was a major milestone, but for disk storage, when I look at back, well, not even when I started, but sometime after I started, there was, I was involved with buying a disk drive second hand that was 481 megabytes in capacity. It was $28,000 second hand. Okay, so why is that not coming off? Sounding like it could be. Look at the rest of them. Making progress. It's just stuck down. There we go. we go. Glued with a sort of a gasket around it. Stuck it down. Okay, so what we're after is the magnet here. Because these magnets are very useful for, well, they're very powerful. They can draw blood, so be cautious with them. But they are looking to be problematic. Hang on. Aha. I can get that one off. Okay, so little rare earth magnet on there. Amazingly powerful things. But I've had an electrician who I made very happy once. He was at my place putting wiring in a wall for me, internal wall, so he had to go down through a noggin, which meant he sort of cut a hole in the wall at the height of the noggin and then got a drill bit in there, and as they sometimes do, his drill bit came loose and it dropped down inside the wall, and he was saying, oh God, I'm going to have to cut a hole at the bottom of the wall so I can get the drill bit back, because it was a nice new drill bit that he didn't want to lose. I said, oh, hang on. So I went and got one of these things and tied a string on it, and we dropped it down the wall and we heard clack, and that was the drill latching onto the magnet. Pulled it back up on the wall and got it out. And he said, oh, that's fantastic. So here, have one. Here, have a second one. Give it to your mates. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. It's, yeah, the other thing, well, apart from doing stuff like that, the biggest use I had for them at one stage was I had a kitchen renovation, and as part of that kitchen renovation there was a sort of a gap left over the top of the dishwasher, and the kitchen guy says, oh, I'll put a blank there. So no, like hell you will, that's where the knife goes, knife drawer goes. So he made up a fairly slim sort of drawer, and then what I did was I siliconed down 21 disk drive magnets after they'd been taken off the backing like this. 21 was all I had at the time, and put a piece of 3mm MDF over that had been wrapped in sort of vinyl backing. So then I had a knife drawer where you put the knife down and it goes clunk and sticks down and stays in place. I demonstrated that by putting the knife drawer up on its face before it had a handle put on it. I had a fairly heavy cleaver which was just hanging there on the knife drawer, just hanging on the magnet. So I was quite pleased with the little effort. I think I might need a different size Torx bit. Why is that one not coming off? I think I need to get some screwdrivers here. Another set of Torx bits somewhere which don't have the same leverage as these. They're just the little handles. I might get those for a bit more speed. Yeah, it needs smaller. Okay, I'll take out the ones I can. This fits. It's pretty amazing things when you think about it. These discs sit in there and spin usually 5400 RPM or 7200 RPM, which is pretty damn fast. And the tiny little heads sit there writing and reading data, flying minuscule distance, sort of just a molecule or so of air above the platters. Amazing stuff. Yeah, anyway, that 481 megabyte disk drive for 28,000, that was one of the I think 14-inch platters inside a, well, basically you could fit 3 or 4 of those in a cabinet the size of a washing machine. I got 3 replacement discs for these. These are 3 terabytes, but the replacements I got were 4 terabyte discs. They got 3 for under $200, and it just blows my mind. Yeah, my first computer, which I bought in 1980, cost me $6,000 second hand, which was more than my car was worth at the time. I was driving a 3-year-old car. That was a 16-bit processor with 64K of RAM. The machine over to my left, which admittedly I maxed out, it's got 256 gig of RAM. So yeah, that computer did actually cost me a bit more than that one back in 1980, but at $1980 it was a hell of a lot, would have worked out a hell of a lot cheaper. It's interesting to think how far things are going to go in my remaining lifetime. All this AI stuff I start to wonder about how that's going to influence things. Not sure how I'm going to get this out of here. I might have to see how I proceed and get back to you. Well, I've got them both at the same stage now. When I was talking earlier about disk drive speeds, these being either 5400 RPM or 7200 RPM, I didn't mention that in sort of the high performance drives used in data centers, 15,000 RPM is the high performance jobbies. The speed of rotation means, higher speed of rotation means you can read the data off it faster. So higher performance disk drives. Okay. Balance there too well. So let's see how we go. I'm on a T7 now. T7 torque speed, I think it is, yes, T7 by 50. 50 is probably referring to the length of the shaft. Wouldn't swear to it, but I suspect that's what it's doing. I wonder why I'm disassembling this disk drive structure, but spinning platter structure, but in order to get out the swiveling arms, which is what I need to get out in order to get the magnet out, I got to get the discs out. So here we go. holding that in, just the rubber stoppers on either end, I think. There we go. So that there is the tiny little hub motor. So I don't need to take that out. That can all go on the recycle as one piece. And if we look at one of the corresponding magnets here, they sort of tend to be spaced apart. You can see that from that they're pretty strong. Not as strong as some. The part that fascinates me is the fact that if you put them back to back, there's nothing. And face to face, yes, they are strong. Okay, one done. So as you can see, there's extraneous bits and pieces like these discs, and there's spacer rings between the discs, and these are amazingly flat, but the only use they'd have at this point is what I used to use the old buggered up CDs for. Put them on a fishing line hanging out in the garden, and it's a reflective surface that hopefully will blow on the wind and scare off birds from the veggies. Couldn't swear to it working. Never seemed to work that well for me. It's like I have a couple of plastic hawks with bobbleheads on them that I set up out in the garden, thinking, well, that might encourage the little birdies to stay away. I've got a video, a photo somewhere of one mounted out in the garden with a pigeon sitting next to it, keeping it company. Well, that didn't work too well, did it? So these are 3 terabyte drives, 3,000 gigabytes. So that drive I was talking about earlier, that 481 megabyte drive, I'll call that half a gigabyte. $6,000 times the capacity on this little thing. Okay, so that should now be at full apart stage. And there's my magnet. So there's my 2 sets of magnets to add to my collection. All the rest, this just goes in the recycle pile. Nothing to it much. T7 and T6 Torx drivers, then a flat-bladed driver again, flat-bladed screwdriver to prise the cover off, because that was stuck down with a gasket. Well, there we go, done. Today's construction. Not long since the last crop has been harvested, and we already seem to be preparing for the next crop. 2 crops a year is normal. So it's very productive land. Yep, looks like we've got a casualty. Jackfruit's fallen down. The rest of them are standing up. So, wonder if We'll continue to ripen the jackfruit. Given it's under the shade there, it might make it a bit challenging for it. Well, I showed that previous video clip to Jabida and she laughed at me. I've got them back to front, and I've had them back to front for some while. So I guess the tropical fruit aficionados who have looked at my previous videos have been happily laughing at me. Papaya, jackfruit. So it's papaya lying down. So we'll see what Dado has to say about it. He may be able to prop that up again, and well, we'll see. Well, I was wrong again. It's not Reynolds number. That's to do with fluid dynamics. What I was actually after was the Curie temperature. So you have to heat your magnetic discs up beyond the Curie temperature to permanently obliterate the magnetism. Yeah, wrong again, but corrected. Thinking back on that story I told earlier about the recovering overwritten data, 9 over 8 is wrong. I misremembered that. It was at least 5, may have been 7, but it wasn't 9. And the commercial service was actually available from Alice Springs, of all places. It was actually the commercial service run by a top secret base outside Alice Springs. The fact that the base is there is not top secret as to what it does, and even that we have a fair idea of. Yeah, so yeah, my memory was a bit faulty there, but that was about 1982 that story came from. I can go back further to older stories, which I can remember clearly. Some things stick with me, like I can still rattle off the home phone number of the girl I was interested in at university. Last phoned that in 1979. And going back even further, I can remember some first year university mathematics from 1976, which is completely useless. I can demonstrate that the set of rational numbers is countably infinite and the set of real numbers is not countably infinite. Or sorry, uncountably infinite. This is done by demonstrating a bijection onto the set of natural numbers. And to know what that means, you have to understand that an injection is where you have a set of numbers, and for every set in that set of numbers, there's a corresponding number in another set. Or it doesn't have to be numbers, it can be objects. So for every element of set A, there's a corresponding element in set B. A surjection is where for every element in set B, there's a corresponding element in set A. So a bijection is a one-to-one mapping. So a one-to-one mapping between the set of natural numbers and the set of rational numbers will tell you that that is countably infinite, because the set of natural numbers is countably infinite. And the set of real numbers, because you cannot define that bijection, it is uncountably infinite. Yeah, you really need to know that, didn't you? So do I. But that's what I remember from 1976 mathematics. Spare me. I did think I mightn't get a video uploaded today because the internet has only just come back after being out for probably 20 hours. So I'll get on with getting this video uploaded.